16 years ago, I sold my beloved Chevelle. 5 years ago, the search began to find it. 2 years ago, I found my car, but the guy wasn't ready to sell it. But today, I'm about to drive 2,000 kilometers to go get my car and bring it home. Let's go.
So we're about 5 kilometers out to get into the Chevelle, buddy. How you feeling?
Got the butterflies going, bud. It's been 16 long years I've been missing this car, and today is finally the day that we'll be reunited. Within the hour, it will be loaded on the trailer, and we'll be heading back towards the shop. Man, I don't know what the emotions are gonna do to me when I get to see the car for the first time, but it's all coming down to this. That's all I got to say. It's all coming down to this. So we are finally here. We left this morning and we're outside beautiful Taylor, BC, here to pick up, after 16 years, my first love, my 1968 Chevelle that I've been searching for over 4 years. As you guys know, those of you who've been following for a while, I've been making videos. We've been searching high and low for this car, and if it wasn't for the little bit of notification I got from the television show Rust Valley Restorers and the following that I got on Facebook, because of that, I would have never been able to make the videos that I did, reach out to all you guys, have you searching for my old car, and finally having one of you reach out and tell me that you think you found it, and you did. So we're here today to finally have a look. I got butterflies in my stomach. It's gonna be emotional for me. I don't know how it's all gonna work out, really. But the fella's here. We want to hear the story and kind of start learning a little bit about, you know, where it's been for the last 16 years. So follow me in here and we'll get to see my 68 Chevelle 396 big block car for the first time in a long time. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
And there she is.
Right there. Everything you described is,
Yeah.
I knew it was your car.
Yeah. You know what finally made me realize, well, I knew from other things because these were the same rims that were on the car when I sold it.
Oh yeah.
But what really got me that I hadn't thought about in like probably 15 years, if not more, was the red velvet upholstery.
Oh.
Because I remember in my bedroom when I was like 24 years old, sitting
really?
there trying to, because the bottom was all damaged. So I was trying to like fix it up the best that I could.
Yeah.
And it was, seeing that just brought back. And I think, I don't know if they still are, but I also made like pillowcases for over the visors. Is it still red velvet on the visors as well? Or?
I don't know. I just threw everything over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the old upholstery.
I kept all the old upholstery in case you
Yeah.
looked at it. This is probably your carving work that you did for your speakers.
Yeah, yeah. See, this stuff here, I remember the bottom of the door cards was all torn up. I don't know where I got the red velvet, but back when I was like 24 years old in my bedroom, I sat there and put this on. I think I would have chose a little bit different of a material nowadays, but it's cool that it is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that made me know 100% it was my car was the steering wheel and the 8-ball shifter. So if you come over here, you'll see that the steering wheel right there, I bought that with my birthday money when I was like 24 years old. It was one of the last things that I bought before the car was actually roadworthy. And the 8-ball shifter was on the car when I bought it all those years ago, and I never did take it off. So it's solid, hey?
Oh, it is. It's probably one of the most solid cars that I've messed with.
Yeah, beautiful.
Like all the rockers, everything is just.
I have so many memories with this car. It took me a lot of years to get it going. When I bought it, it had no motor in it, and the guy wouldn't sell me the motor, the 396.
Oh, yeah, I think this is a 67 block.
Out of what, do you know?
No, I just went by the VIN numbers
Okay,
that were on the plot.
because the one thing that always, and I didn't realize back in the day, and it didn't really dawn on me till a lot of years after, that the guy, when I had the engine rebuilt, he was actually nice enough to let me rebuild the engine in his machine shop.
Oh, yeah.
But he said, I'd only seen 2 of these blocks in my 20 plus year career because it was a 396 4-bolt main.
Yes, it is.
It is. And ever since then, every 396 I've looked at that I could see under the end, like without the oil pan, they've all been 2-bolt mains.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a 4-bolt main.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it come in. I'm going to look at the numbers and try to see if it came in something cool or if it just came in like a truck or what it came in.
I think it's just in the car.
Okay.
Because I looked up the serial number on it to see, because I thought on your lid there, that's the lid that you had on the car too.
Yeah.
And that says it's big horsepower. So
Yeah, 375 horse. I think the big horse was the 425, I think.
425.
Yeah. Do you still have the original valve covers?
Yeah. I put them in the box here for you. Over here, sorry. This is the air tanker that was on it.
I told you I'd find you, old girl.
Was that your air tanker?
Yep.
Okay. And then the valve
Yep.
covers.
I painted all this
These are
back in the day.
80 Thompson valve covers. I saved all those pictures.
I should have brought in my pictures. I got 2 pictures that I've held on to for the last 16 years since I sold both of them.
Yep.
Yeah. I painted them and then I sanded this all back off.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I've got to put those back on. I think I got to put all this stuff back on. It's crazy. It's unbelievable to me that nobody ended up, and it still has my Lakewood ladder bars on it.
Yep.
It's crazy to me that nobody finished restoring the car and how it still has so much of my character from back in the day in the car. It's unbelievable. When I first seen it, when Dusty, like I was hoping, is Dusty, where's he?
Yeah, he's my friend.
Yeah, it's Dusty, right?
Yes. Yep.
I was hoping he was going to be here. Like he's the one that put everything together.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
he reached out to you right away. And then I tried to phone you. You wouldn't answer my conversation or my call. I talked to your lovely wife, and she said he knows about you, but he doesn't want to sell the car. And to me, I was just like, I just want to come see the car.
Do you know how long I looked for a car like that?
And so, what was the story behind finding the car? Because I heard it went back into a barn or something.
Yeah, I did. A fella, young Mark Jensen, he bought the car from a fella in Taylor Flats, and that must have been between when you sold it.
That would have been the guy that I sold it to. He lived down in Taylor.
Yeah. And then Mark, he seen it. He was a young fella. So he went down and he purchased it from him. And then the other fella, he drove it home. And then Mark, he was always going to restore it, but he got busy and family and whatever. And I said, whenever you go to sell that car, you give me a call. So he did.
So,
And it's out in the barn for about 14 years, 13
so what
years.
that is incredible. So what you're telling me is
He never did anything.
he never drove it really?
Nope.
So since I sold it to my friend Dustin in Taylor here, he brought it here. He only owned it for like 6 months.
Okay.
He sold it to this fella here.
Yeah,
It went into the barn and it sat there ever since.
Ever since.
Then you
I
bought it.
in 03. No. What the hell was it? 2023.
2023.
Yeah.
So it sat, so since I sold it, it literally sat in a barn until you bought it, until I came and got it back.
Got it back. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And then Dusty, he got a hold of me and he said, well, James, he would sure like to buy that car. And I says, oh my God. I wanted that car so bad for so many years, and I knew where it was, but I couldn't buy it from him. But yeah, finally, Mark, he agreed. I bought it. Then I was the happiest guy in the world.
I know, and that's about when I heard about it, and you didn't want to talk to me, and I totally understood.
Oh.
But do you know one thing, now I just want to verify this. So after I tried to phone you and I spoke to your wife, this young lady came into my shop, and I'm pretty sure this is a fact. And she was going to come and buy some swag. And I just, simple conversation, hey, where are you from? She said, Fort St. John. So I said, oh, I know Fort St. John. And my attachment has always been my car.
Yeah.
So I said, I've got a 1968 Chevelle there. And she's like, oh yeah, I know a lot of people from there. I said, well, it's been a while since I thought about it, but I said, if I remember correctly, if I was going to take a stab at the name, his name is Ian, right? Mm-hmm. So then I said that he lives in Taylor and out of town. She's like, Ian so-and-so? I'm like, that's it,
Yeah.
right? And then she said, you wouldn't believe this, but my mom is married to you.
Oh, that's Katie.
Katie.
Yeah.
And that's, at that moment is
Yeah.
when I thought, you know what? Like, there's just too many things that are just falling into line. Like, my car is looking for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I felt.
Yeah.
And she actually phoned her mom and found out that you were restoring a car.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just crazy how small the world is and how that all panned out, and then how I'm standing here today,
Yeah.
looking at my old Chevelle.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. And these are the same. Like when I bought it, had these are the rims, the SS 14-inch mags.
He gave me with the car. This is everything that they had got in the car, and his uncle did the back quarters on it for him.
Yeah, it looks like they did a good job.
Yeah, he's a body man in Denmark.
Really?
Yeah. But
So he stripped it down, and they did the quarters on it. They did full quarters on it. Looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like they did a good job.
And then I did the rest.
Yeah, it's funny. Is in Quesnel, we used to always like have 4x4 trucks, and we'd go up into the mountains, and we'd go, mudding and stuff like that. And one day, my brother called me, and he said, "Hey, I was up at the steps 4x-ing, and I found this car that was flipped over, and it had these cool-looking rims on it.
Oh.
You want to buy those rims? $250."
Oh yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I'll buy those rims."
Yep.
There's the rims.
That's the rim. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I took these off at that point. I put those on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we rallied the car around for, I had it for 10 years. It was never restored. I bought it off of my old boss at the sawmill. He come up to me and said he had the 68 Chevelle. I went and looked at it, and he wanted $3,000 for it. So it was in a field. So I bought it for $3,000, but he would not sell the 396. He wanted to put it in a dump truck.
Oh.
So I was like, I'll buy you a 454 or something to put in the dump truck. And he's nope. And then one payday he comes up to me, he's like, I need new barn doors. If you give me $840, I'll give you the 396. Oh. And it was in pieces.
Oh.
So I shelled out the $840, and took it to an engine shop, and they, because I didn't have much money, they let me go in there, and they'd be like, okay, you need to torque this to, 85 foot-pounds. They hand me a torque wrench, and I get to torque it all up, and to save myself a little bit of money, right? So it took me 2 years to get it so it would actually even run, and then got to start driving it. And I remember first time I took it for a drive, I had these rims on it, and I never tightened the lug nuts up. And I remember hearing whack, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I see something went flying, and I'm like, what the hell was that? And I was like, pulled over, and the drum was running on the inside of the tire. If it would have twisted and cocked off, it would have ripped the whole rear quarter off. So I went and robbed the lug nut off of every single tire, and
Well, that's why it doesn't have enough lug nuts on it.
it could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
I did the same thing as you did. I had it in the other side of the shop here, in this left front wheel, or right front wheel. And I went to move it, because I just put a new steering box and everything in it, so I thought, I'll just drive it outside, do whatever. And I drove it out there, and whoa, down the right front wheel. Had one lug nut on it,
Yeah, this had the vinyl top on it. I couldn't believe it actually had. It did, yeah, because I painted this black because the vinyl top was all like tattered up.
Yeah.
So it had the chrome along here. I ripped it off, painted it black. I still left the chrome on there, but it's in nice shape. A lot of times this is all like rotted up because that vinyl top glue was real moist or whatever. Yeah, excellent.
Some mixes.
I'm so glad that it looks like they put full quarters on it.
Yeah.
Did a really nice job.
Yeah. This has to be done up.
Blocked out a bit. Yeah, there's no markers on the side anymore. Was there not markers on the side?
This is all
Okay.
in here.
Oh, I wonder if, because sometimes they'll sell you rear quarters and you have to cut your own marker in the side.
I think that's
because then they can multiple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had a stack of fertilizer in the machine shed.
Oh, and they
And
crunched it a
fell,
bit.
no, it fell over on and did this in.
And dented it a bit.
Yeah, dented I just popped it out, but it's still. It's
Oh yeah, I'll fix her up.
You'll fix it.
Oh yeah, she'll be excellent.
That's your business.
That's right. That's right.
I just think something.
Yeah, I always knew when I got it, like it was in pretty good shape. I remember there was some rust under the wheel well on that side, and I remember I had to spray a bunch of like, like that black rubberizing stuff just to fill it up.
When you told me about the frame.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I see that.
You can see it?
Yeah.
Where can you see it from?
It's on that side.
Yeah. I'll have to get in there with a light.
Yeah.
So at some point, where is it? Yeah, I did a pretty nice job. I got, pretty handy guy with the old welder and the grinder.
When I see your show there,
Yeah.
you're very handy.
But on this side, there was a spot about this long on the frame that somebody had hacked out and put like a couple of strips of like flat steel and just like, it was like bubble gum. They welded it in there and they called that good, I guess. Yeah. But it must have been because the rear end was shifted over and they could get one fat tire on one side, but not as fat a tire on this side. So they cut the frame instead of centering everything up. So while I had it, I had to go in there and like a surgeon, and I made myself a little patch piece and fixed it all up. And yeah, it's still there. Unbelievable. So after I mentioned that to you, you went and had a look?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Now when I talk to you later.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, this guy told me the truth. Oh yeah, it's there. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Oh, look at that. I didn't remember that, but I guess I also upholstered the
Armrest.
Yeah, so I bet you the visor is somewhere there with the red velvet on it too, because it was the door skins, the armrests, and definitely the visors.
You know, I'm not too sure about the visor games.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't think I've seen it. Did you do the fancy blacking out of the window?
I can't remember if I did or not. I wouldn't doubt that I probably did, but I don't quite recall.
Yeah.
Oh, we got transfer papers there and everything.
Yeah.
Excellent. Kind of looks like we got, must have had a road barrier down the road when I had those on. I only had them on for a short time, but that one looks a lot smaller than the rest. Something looks a little bit off there.
Oh, you probably stole that one.
Maybe, I don't know. I know these came with the car. My thoughts were always that somebody had two cars. One was an SS, because they sure did a nice job making this an SS clone.
Yeah.
They'd had the full interior package, all the badging.
Yep.
And that's where because somebody did tell me actually just recently that the SS might have said Malibu on the side. I don't know, I'm gonna look that up.
I got all your
but yeah, I drilled holes and put the Turbojet 396 with the flags, because that's what I wanted on the side, but I left the Malibu, so it always had the two. And it was funny because it was your friend Dusty that said, did your car have two emblems on the front fenders on the bottom? I said, and I hadn't thought about that for years too. I was like, yes, it did.
Yeah.
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 And that was kind of my first, like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it all come together pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah. 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 And I waited for another 2 years after Dusty finally said, I think I found your car.
Yeah.
To today. And I couldn't be happier. It's excellent.
Well, it's going to good home.
Oh, yeah.
Up here, you have to sit and wait for everybody to get anything done. It's been sort of a dream car of mine too, but then I thought, time's running out for me, so I'm going.
If you keep your mind young, you just keep having stuff to do every day.
Yeah.
This thing's gorgeous.
I did this one in 1996. My wife and I. That was my dad's. He bought it originally, and I took my driver's license and brand new.
Really?
In 1959.
Wow.
Yep. And
you still have it. So I never did ask you, like, does it run?
The car?
Yeah.
I should hope so. I overhauled it. Yeah. Well, I did the bottom end.
You did the bottom end. You said something about the oil pump or something was shot in it?
The oil pump was shot.
Because one thing I remember from back in the day, I went and, I was just a young kid, I didn't really know anything, and I went and, to Napa and I wanted a radiator. And the guy goes, oh yeah, this is the radiator for the car. Little single core, I had no idea. And it would always overheat on me, but I just had no idea that you could buy an aluminum radiator like this.
Yeah. That's the first thing I did. I put electric fans,
Yeah. Oh, good choice.
and then I changed all of this.
Oh yeah, that looks nice. Oh boy. Because see, I went and I bought all the chrome stuff too as a kid, but then that's when I learned that chrome stuff was junk because half the holes I had to
This
wall.
was chrome. It's painted.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I had a chrome alternator on it, a chrome bracket over here, but you had to like drill out the hole because it didn't line up, and
Yeah.
it was just garbage. This stuff is way better quality.
Yeah. The only thing that I found wrong underneath on the bottom end was the crank is in really good shape.
Was it the connecting rods?
The connecting rod.
There's two number six?
Two number fives.
Two number fives. Okay.
And then the oil pump, it was shot. And so I turned all that up, but the torques were terrible on that.
Were they?
Oh,
Yeah.
they were all out. But you could take some of the connecting rods, and I'm sure they only had 15 pounds.
I was like 20 some years old.
Oh yeah,
That would have been me. I torqued them. But the funny thing, like behind the two number fives, always thought it was number sixes.
Yeah.
But when I was at the engine shop, I was assembling it all there. You know, like I said, they were letting me assemble it.
Yeah.
And I went to they made sure all of the connecting rods were round, right?
Yeah.
So they did the machine work.
It was good.
And I went to pull the cap off of the connecting rod, and I'm like, what the? I can't get it off.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and I was like, as far as my memory, it was number 6 rod with number 2 cap, is what my memory tells me. Maybe it was number 5. But anyway, so I go into the guy's office, and I'm like, I can't pull this off. And I see it says number 6 and number 2,
Yeah.
and he was blaming it on me. He was freaking out at me and kicked me out of the shop that day, and that was the end of me. They finished it off from there, but I had to go to Prince George and find another connecting rod, give it to them to rebalance and machine it to put the engine all together. So I always knew it had one
The bottom
long.
end is in excellent shape. It's 10 thou is what they turned the crank down.
Okay.
The mains and the rods.
Yeah, do you remember it was board 60 over, I think, right? Did you see that
I
though?
didn't-
Okay, okay.
It could be.
I think it is.
Because I never had the heads on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I always dreamed about. I was like, oh man, I wonder how much power it would have had if I ever would have put
Well,
some
that's
like
what I
aftermarket
never did get
heads.
a chance to see how much power it had.
Yeah, I remember when I first got it going, I pulled out a 7-Eleven and I gave it just a little bit too much juice and it just blew right outside. Like freaking
It's sitting here.
incredible torque. That's it. I remember that sound like it was yesterday. I'll tell you guys something about when I sold this car. In 2009, when the economy crashed, it was the worst year of my life. I ended up having to sell my car, and I also ended up having my shop burned to the ground a month later. This is now the best thing that happened out of 2009 for me, because if I wouldn't have sold this car, I wouldn't have been able to come back and get it today. And to think that nobody else has had the pleasure of really driving this car since I did all those years ago really even makes it so much more special to me, as this car has been waiting for my return. I told it when it left that I would find it one day, and here I am 16 years later. This is my car. I have to thank you, Ian, so much for allowing me to come and get my car back. Thank you very, very much. It's a day that I will absolutely never forget. This car will never leave me again.
Good. Nice.
Well, let's take care of the business,
Oh.
and then we will load this stuff up because we've got a long way back home.
That is for sure.
Incredible. I want to show you one more thing that I just noticed about the Chevelle. Back in the day, I made one big oops, and it's right over here. So, as a young kid, I was trying to figure out how to take off the chrome. And I remember I was down here and I was prying off the glass, which was a perfect, pristine front windshield. And I cracked it about this long. 16 years later, you can see my oops has got a lot bigger. Unbelievable time capsule for me. So emotional. Just so glad it's coming back to the shop. I'm going to restore this car back up the way I had it when I was a kid, and we're going to continue to enjoy it and forget about the 16 years lost. All right, that was it. Let's load her up. It's just crazy how nobody has been driving this car in 16 years. People have dreamed about it, they've thought about it, they've wanted to do it, but nobody's done it. All these years later, I'm back, baby. I'm back. And it was funny because I whispered the exact words when this car left and was put on the trailer just for my shop fire. And I said, I'll find you one day. And I did. It just took me 16 years too long to find it. I had one chance after I sold it to buy it back off the guy that I sold it to. He offered it back to me like 5 or 6 months later, but I just didn't have the money. And I was waiting for a settlement from my shop. And I had to say no at that point. And that's, since that day, it's been about the day that I just regretted it. So no more regrets. Moving forward now, new memories. It's crazy how all of my DNA is still all over this car. The cracked window that I cracked as a kid, the Lakewood ladder bars that I bought and put on, the red velvet interior, just incredible. Later on, I'll show you guys how I set up the, on the side lower front fenders, it used to say just Malibu, but everywhere else it was SS, and I wanted it to be, SS everywhere. So I went and bought some 396 SS badges, and I drilled holes and I put them under the Malibu. And I left the Malibu on because I didn't want to have holes. I see now somebody has welded up the holes on the fender. Now I guess we're going to find out, did they weld up the Malibu holes or did they weld up the 396 turbojet with the flags holes? I feel like they probably welded the Malibu holes up because they were going to run the 396 SS turbojet ones, but I think I'm going to do a little bit more research. When I was a kid, I was just kind of doing what I wanted. And I want to find out what would have been on the side. Like, would it have just been the SS badging, or would there have been something else? So that's one thing I want to find out. Second thing I want to find out is, what did that 396 4-bolt main come out of? Was it just a truck? My gut and my thoughts have always been that, it potentially came out of like a Corvette or something. Don't know. But I'm going to find that out. That's one of the things that's top on the list when I get back to the shop, is start running some numbers, finding out where that motor came from. Because maybe it just came out of, another one of my thoughts was always that there was two cars. One was a small block car that was real solid. One was a big block 4-speed 396 car that was rusted out, and they just swapped all the parts onto the small block car. So one thing I did learn today, though, he did tell me that he read the VIN, and the original color was yellow. I've always known it as red. So I always had big plans for this car. Even when I was young, I always wanted to, and like, don't tell this to Mike because I know he likes his period correct stuff, but I've always wanted to put a 70 rear bumper on this, and I was gonna actually delete the taillights on the 68 because I've always felt like the 68 has the better looking front end. The 70 with the round taillights was always my favorite, the ones that were right in the bumper. And my plan was to always sculpt that on. And since knowing Mike, I know that in his bumper pile at the shop, there's a 70 rear bumper with the round taillights. And I've always thought about that bumper, and it always reminded me of my old Chevelle. So are the two gonna come together? Only time's gonna tell, but they might. Let's get the front all tied down, let's get on the road. So, as much as this has been an emotional day for me, I couldn't help to realize and to notice how much of an emotional day it was for Ian, as he chased this car for a long time, but has started to come into the realization that his time for restoring cars is coming to an end, and it was time to pass the car on to somebody else. And I'm so thankful that that car was me. I'm thankful for Dusty for finding the car and putting me in contact with Ian, and it all just worked out the way it was supposed to work out. That's what I feel, you know? If it wasn't for selling the car wouldn't be here anymore because, well, it would have been burnt. It was the middle of the winter. It stayed in the shop. So it would have been in the shop when the shop burnt to the ground. So everything works out for a reason. I got the car back for a reason. Now I've just got to do the best for the car, and I've got to make a decision at this point. Do I go along with what I was thinking back when I was 24? My main thoughts were slamming the car down, putting nice rims and tires on it, putting the 70 rear bumper on it, maybe Frenching it in a little bit, tightening it all up, tucking the front bumper as well. Or do I leave the car alone and kind of bring it back more to original, the way I had it back in the day? I'm pretty sure I know what I'm gonna do, but I'll let you guys in on that at a later date. For now, let's just get it back to the shop and love on it a little bit. Learn, you know, some of the things that I may have forgot. It was a little bit embarrassing for me to have to ask if reverse was over and back or towards and forward. So I need to learn all those things again. Get it running a little bit better. Fix the squealing belt. Finish the dash back up. Then we'll come back around and talk about what we're gonna do about making it more my own. There's a lot of my touches already in this car. And like I said, how many times today, I cannot believe that in the 16 years since I sold it, nobody has been able to enjoy it. Sold it to my friend, he kept it for 6 months, sold it to this other fella, he put it in his barn with hopes to restore it one day, sat there for 14 years, never got around to it, sold to Ian 2 years ago, he had the dream of restoring it, never got to finish it, now it's back in my hands. So I feel like it couldn't be a more perfect storm. What I'm gonna do to it next, now that is gonna be worth waiting for. So we will talk about that more at a later date. But for now, let's get on the road and get this thing back to the shop so we can really have a good look and see what we've got after all these years. So one more strap and we're out of here. I just got the car into the shop and wow, what a trip. 2,000 kilometers, Fort St. John and back. It's an adventure I will never forget. It was definitely emotional for me. I have so many great memories with this car. It doesn't look like much now, but give me some time. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm gonna end this video here. Be safe out there. Hey.